Welcome to the webinar for the Managed Human Resource Services unit. Today we're going to be focusing on assessments 3 and 4, making up the last half of this unit. My name is Nikita, and you should recognize me from the very first webinar that we did for this unit on assessments 1 and 2. So today we're continuing on and actually completing our journey with the Managed Human Resources Services unit. So it's incredibly exciting to be doing this webinar with you today. So today's purpose, we're going to be completing assessments 3 and 4. You'll be happy to know that these ones are a little bit smaller than assessments 1 and 2 were, but still quite valuable in being able to evaluate how your HR performances are going and how to communicate any changes or memos, if you will. The session is going to run as your other webinars will do. So we'll be going through the assessments that we're focusing on, so assessments 3 and 4. We'll be breaking down what each part entails, what questions you'll need to answer, and kind of be giving you some little tips on how to answer this one for you and be able to complete this unit. How can you get the most out of this webinar? I would suggest having either your student workbook open to this assessment, being able to follow on that way, having your LMS open, or even print out of your assessment or on your desktop if that works for you, just so you can follow through with what we're going on about with the assessments and everything, following through the questions, take notes if you want to, however you feel like you're going to be able to get the most out of this. So what happens after the webinar? Well, you're going to go ahead and you're going to finish your Managed Human Resource Services unit, which is incredibly exciting. So you're going to go away from this, hopefully with a little bit more of an idea of how you're going to be able to complete these last remaining assessments, a little bit clearer on your knowledge and your skills, and being able to kind of kick this one out of the park. So let's get started. Perfect. So with assessment 3, we're going to be evaluating the HR performance. So you're given a scenario, which I'll just pop up onto the screen for you as well now. So we're going to be, with our scenario, we're evaluating the HR performances. It's a very critical part of any service delivery, and there's a number of options on how you can evaluate that performance. So today we're going to be looking at something called a survey. So most of you will have known what these are or will have completed these at some point in your life. So today we're going to be looking at creating our very own survey. This assessment is split into 2 parts. The first part is going to be you creating your own employee satisfaction survey and just creating some questions about what you think will give you the best idea of what your employees will be going through. The second part is going to be evaluating some of your results that you've actually obtained from that. So we'll go through that in a little bit. But for the first part here, you're going to create your survey that the HR manager has decided to administer, so they're asking you to develop this for them. You need at least 15 questions, I would say 10 to 15 questions. And what you're really wanting to be focusing on here are the following. So we've got your job satisfaction levels, your proactive teamwork and communication, proactive and supportive work culture, work challenges and workload, and your work flexibility. So definitely come up with at least 2 questions for each topic here. If it's not really it's not really said here, but how you want it to set out is basically just on it's a separate A4 page, I think is probably best. Try and make it look as professional as you can. You can make it a little bit fun if you want to as well. Kind of create like a little, logo or something, or like a business name if you want to, however you want to set it out. But the one thing that I would definitely want you to take away from this is to create what's called a sliding scale for your survey. The purpose of a survey is always to get a really good idea of what your what your target audience is kind of going through, whether it's, if they're happy about the service, if they have any feedback or anything at all like that. It's just to gauge a reaction or kind of understand what's going on in a bigger picture kind of ideal there. So what we're wanting to do here is get the most out of this. If you just have a survey that's, closed questions, and then yes or no as an answer. So are you happy with where you work? Yes or no. If somebody puts in no, they're not happy with their work, what kind of level are they at? We won't know. If it's only a very closed question, we won't be able to obtain any more information about it, or we won't be able to get a better idea of what it is that they're going through. So I'm definitely recommending a sliding scale for this. A sliding scale can look like anything. So you can have your statement or your question. I probably recommend having a statement, that I am happy with my work, or I am feeling that I have enough challenges, or whatever you want to make here. And the scale along the top of that would be something from maybe 1 to 5, maybe totally agree to totally disagree, with a neutral in the middle, but somewhere that you want to be able to gauge a better reaction from somebody about what they actually are feeling about that question or statement. So that's what I would recommend here for you there, is just to have that a sliding scale, maybe a separate A4 piece of paper that you can submit. That way it's all nice and clean and just all together there for that first part. And just being able to have at least 10 to 15 questions and going through with them. If you're a little bit stuck on what kind of questions to ask for each topic, think about your own work environment or what you would want in your work environment and pop them into there as well. What kind of questions do you want your employer to be asking you? What kind of things do you want to be considered for? If especially you're a little bit stuck on something, you can always Google as well. There's some really great examples out there of what a staff satisfaction survey looks like or what kind of questions they ask and why. So that might be really useful as well. There is a website called SurveyMonkey that you're more than welcome to have a look at as well. If you do get any information from there, make sure that you reference it. So that's the first part of your assessment here, is just going to be going through creating this very first survey and everything else. So basically, I guess the point of this one, is going to be more along the lines of, too far. More along the lines of just being able to understand, where you're really coming from, what you're really looking for as a manager or working in the HR department. For assessment 3 part 2 that we're now on, we're going to be looking at something a little bit more in depth about the results of an actual survey that have gone through. So in this scenario, you're actually kind of like a third party. Your client has asked you to have a look at the survey results and kind of come up with a plan of how they can change those results around. Okay, so this is what you're really looking for here, is the your employer, the task 3 employer survey information. So I'm just going to pull that up onto the screen now as well. It comes in a Microsoft Excel, and you'll want the one with the calculations. So here on the screen, we've got your statements. So this is what your statement was on your actual survey, the actual output analysis. So this is a collation of the data that's come through. And all along the side here, you'll see that this is what the actual responses were. So 10 people said that they are strongly disagreeing with the statement. 15 said that they are, they're just disagreeing. Some are neutral. You've got to agree, strongly agree. So this is a great example of the sliding scale that I mentioned before. What you're really wanting to look at in this is just picking out 3 or 4 points here with the calculations. So we can see, for example, number 6, in my organization, employees adapt quickly to difficult situations. 58% of staff have a negative response to that. So that could be something that you choose to discuss in your report, and just give them an idea of this is what is affecting them, this is what they think is happening in their business, and then just discuss what your recommendation is to be able to turn that around within the next 6 months or so. What could you do differently? How could you make sure that that comes out with a positive outcome? So what you're really wanting to do here is at least pick 3 or 4, maybe 5. It's a 350-word report, so you're more than welcome to choose as many examples as you want to. Just make sure that you're definitely identifying the need of these to be able to change and what your recommendation is for them. So, for example, number 7 here is when at work, I'm completely focused on my job duties. 30% of staff are completely focused on their job, which means that 70% of the staff are not. So what kind of things then could we implement or recommend to our client to implement to make sure that 70% of the staff are actually doing their work? Maybe we can change that around. So, instead of 30% doing work and 70% not, maybe we can change it to 70-30 the other way. What kind of things will we be able to do? And that could be anything as simple as having team building activities or being able to go for a walk or a longer lunch break, being able to have meetings in the morning where people get really pumped up about what it is they're supposed to be doing, having goals set in place each day, something to get them to strive for something. So I think that, this is a really great activity as well for you to be able to come up with different problem solving ideas and everything as well, especially because you'll be putting this into a report for a client. It really gives you that kind of outsider's perspective of what's going on and being able to recommend that to other people. So just to recap on all of this, we'll go to a little fancy recap screen here. Assessment 3 is just creating your very own survey for your staff members, having at least 10 questions, up to 15, in each of the 5 topics that are listed. And being able to create something like a sliding scale, such as an example of in the Microsoft Excel document, and being able to have that good scale of where people are sitting at in their agreements or disagreements with a certain statement. If you're having trouble with that one, SurveyMonkey is a really great resource for you, as well as just Googling some examples of what staff surveys could look like. And then part 2 is just analyzing the survey results from a client and everything, and being able to discuss what your recommendations will be to be able to turn that number around. So definitely look at the ones that are negative, because it'll give you a lot more to work with, especially because you'll be able to come up with more recommendations for how staff could be more motivated in the workplace, feel more successful, whatever it could be. And now on to assessment 4. You'll be very happy to know that assessment 4 is only 80 words in all. That's it, just 80 words. So it's very simple, very easy. So I'll just pull this one up for you now. Perfect. So what we're doing here is we're creating a memo. So the memorandum is going to be to your employees, and it's going to be regarding the implementation of the Code of Ethics of the Powerhouse Museum. So basically all we're doing here is we're going to have a read of the link here, which is the PDF document of the Code of Conduct for the Powerhouse Museum, and just being able to develop an understanding of what that is. Once you've done that, you're going to create a memo to your staff, which is only 80 words, so a very short paragraph, just telling them about what the Code of Conduct is, that it's their responsibility to make sure that they're all over it basically, and then that you do have an open door policy. If there's one thing that I would definitely stress to pop into this memo, the one thing that could mark you off is that you need to have that open door policy in there somewhere. So no matter how you word it, it needs to be an idea that's right there for the staff to see in the memo, that there's an open door policy, which means that they can basically come in whenever they want and be able to discuss the Code of Conduct with you, be able to give you feedback on anything, ask questions. Basically, the door is open. And that's it. That's all you need to do. So the memo should be structured in just a paragraph format. So you could do it, like it's obviously to the staff and everything. So you'd maybe have kind of like an email format, to or attention. And then you've got your staff members there, all staff, senior staff, whoever you want. And then you've got your little memo, which would just be a small paragraph form with a sign off as well. So they know where the memos come from and where they can find you. So as long as the memo is detailing the actual Code of Conduct in quite a general way of just, this is where you find them, why are they important, and that everybody should be across them. It's their responsibility essentially to have read that and understood it. Please come and see me if you have any questions. My door is always open. Very simple paragraph, 80 words. So don't feel that you need to have one massive page just full of this. You can just pop it underneath the assessment and for formatting reasons. And it's just a really simple little sign off as well, just to make sure that they do know where it came from. And that is it. So we've got assessment 3 and 4, short and sweet, all good. First one, again, recapping, we've got a survey that you're going to be creating for your staff members and everything across the 5 topics, 10 to 15 questions, done. Second part of assessment 3 is going to be analyzing the actual survey results from a client company and giving recommendations on how they can turn those figures around. And the 4th assessment, all on its own, is just an 80-word memo. So from here, you're going to go ahead and complete these assessments on your own. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me at all on your phone, my mobile, Skype, messaging, whatever you want, smoke signals if that works, and I'll be happy to walk you through everything again. If you have any questions, concerns, I'll just pop my details on the screen again. Feel free to email me or the student support account as well. That's where the mentor team will be able to answer your questions as well if I'm unavailable for any reason. Or feel free to give me a call, send me a text. I'm more than happy to give you a call back as well. So again, support available to you, as we've said, is just the mentor team. We're all fantastic, if I do say so myself, and we're all very much across the unit, so more than happy to help you at whatever stage you're at, even if it's on assessment 1 and 2 again of this unit or a different unit entirely. This mentor team is there to support you however they can. We have coaching calls available. You can come into class. Every Friday we're running the support sessions in every state that we've got. And then we'll be also doing the phone calls and stuff as well. So coaching calls are always a thing that happen. So what's next? Basically finishing your assessment, finishing this whole unit and getting that big green tick on your assessments. Thank you so much for watching. If you do have any questions, please get into contact with me, and I'll see you soon. Bye.